Just reviewing Vandy, we knew it'd be a tough game. I knew it'd be a tough game, and it was. And I'm proud of our team for finding a way to win, which is ultimately what you're measured on, and so it was good. And you're not always going to go out there and roll over people. They're always going to be tough, and this one sure was. I thought we came out early and played well. If you look, I think the first 15 plays of the game, we had 5 explosive plays, which is really good. And I think Tyler, he started out, let's see, 12 of 14 for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. So the first quarter and a half, you know, we really felt like we were executing the game plan well. The defense was playing well, and we were in command of the football game. We get the big turnover on the 30, and then from that point on, things changed a little bit. Tyler had 3 passes in a row. The last 2 of the half, the first one was just a poor read, and we missed it. And then the second one was an interception. And then coming out the next series in the third quarter, makes another bad read and throws a pick. And I think that kind of got us a little bit out of sync. It probably did a little bit as coaches, and it probably did a little bit for Tyler. And so we didn't, you know, score and weren't as explosive that second half the way we needed to be. Had a lot of opportunities to put the game away and didn't get it done. We were good on third down, which is good, but we had, you know, the 2 interceptions and the penalties, and we really struggled to block them up front. We got whipped a lot. So that's kind of the offense. Now, the defense, on the other hand, I thought played exceptionally well. I was real disappointed after the interception that Vandy went on that 17-play drive. But it's hard to give a defense more adversity in a quarter than what they got in the third quarter. We come out and they have a great 3-and-out to start the half, so we're going to get good field position, and then we fumble the ball on a punt return. They come out and then they hold them and they miss a field goal. All right, then we come out and throw an interception, come back, they having it, so there's another piece of adversity on a sudden change. Then we intercept it for a touchdown, get it called back. There's another piece of adversity, and despite all that, and we blocked the field goal, we held them to 0 points in the third quarter, which was huge. It was a great job by the defense, and that's what you need when you have those kind of games. So that was good. Players of the week, Gerald Jones. On offense, he continues to be a steady hand for us. Caught a lot of good little underneath routes, kept the chains moving. On defense, Gerald Williams and Jansen Jackson both had great football games. Jansen really is playing better every week. He made 2 phenomenal plays down on the goal line, one before the first half that kept him from a touchdown, and then the other one, of course, the interception, and then we gave it to Gerald for special teams because he blocked the field goal. No real serious injuries. That's going to keep guys from playing this week as of today. You know, banged up, bruised up a little bit, but nothing. I think our concussion guys, I expect them to be back. We'll see. But we'll go day to day on that stuff. On a side note, we suspended Montori Hughes for academic reasons, academic suspension, similar to what Kevin Cooper went through early in the year. So he won't be playing in the game. Now, when you look at Kentucky, I think it's as explosive a football team that we've seen and that they've had in a while. They've had some great offensive teams. I know that 07 team was good, and back in the late 90s they had some good ones, but these guys are really good, and as good a football team I think as they've had since even when they were really incredible in the late 70s. So they have the formula. They have a veteran quarterback. They have 2 receivers that can pierce you. One of them being an all-purpose guy who's a phenomenal football player. They move him all over the field, and they have a good, solid, excellent running back. And when you have all those parts in place, you're going to be good, and they are good. And you look at the two teams going to the SEC championship game, they beat one, and the other one who nobody has had, not many teams have come close to beating, they're sitting there tied with them midway through the fourth quarter. So we got our hands full. I know there'll be a lot of talk about bowl, and there'll be a lot of talk about streaks. And I'm not really interested in talking about either one of them. I don't think that any of that talk is going to help our players prepare to play better and play better on Saturday. What I'm interested in is our team focusing on the things that they can control, which is what their preparation is each day. And we need to have a great day of preparation today, and then we need to stack about 4 in a row after that leading up to the game. And if we do that, then hopefully we'll play a good game and we'll get the result we need. So, your turn.
Derek, they're talking about it, though, without much coaxing. Did you drill that into them this week just to erase that bowl thing out of their mind? Or
I haven't met with them. You know, I didn't meet with them yesterday, and I'm meeting with them today. We have our team meeting to kind of kick the week off like we do every week. So I'm glad they're talking that way. They need to talk that way. I told them after the game that I was disappointed, especially offensively, in our week of preparation. And I knew we weren't going to play well. I mean, it's a sick feeling that you have all week. And I hope we learned a lesson from it, and we need to, that it's a hard game, and if you don't recommit yourself every week to focusing on the right things, then you're going to go out there and not play well.
So it sounds like you feel that most of the problems on offense were of Tennessee's own doing. It wasn't necessarily stuff.
No, I don't think that's fair, Beth, because Vandy did a great job. They did, and I don't want to take away from the job they did. They had a good scheme. It wasn't a different scheme. It's the same scheme they ran all year and the same scheme we prepared for. But it's a good, sound scheme, and they play with great discipline. They play with great effort and play with great toughness. So, you know, two things have to happen. One is they do their job and we do our part. But we certainly did our part in not playing as well as we could.
What about Kentucky on defense? What kind of problems can they present you?
Well, they've done a good job. You know, a lot of times they've had some games where they got behind, and I mean, like the Georgia game, there's an opening kickoff return, and it gets them in a hole. They haven't been as statistically productive. They lost some really good players from last year, but they've made the stops that they need to make when they need to, and they're going to cause us problems because every defense does.
With the problems that you have with the punt return, just to have a guy like Randall Cobb that not only secures the ball but is a dynamic threat, that has to be a luxury.
For them,
yeah,
yeah, not for us.
Right.
But I've always, I mean, philosophically, I think that's a critical position. I don't view that as who wants to be a returner. I mean, I've always gone out and seeked them a little bit, and because they can change the game, and it's so critical in the hidden yardage, the field position, and that has been a problem for us all year, and it's hurt us in field position, and it's certainly killed us as it relates to turnovers. So it's something we're going to have to fix for next year.
Could you just talk a little bit about Randall and what you've seen of him?
Phenomenal football player, versatile football player. It's really hard to say take him out of the game because he's everywhere, and they do a great job. They have an excellent coaching staff that knows what they're doing. They can play him at quarterback, at slot. They can play him outside. They can put him at runner. And so you can't just say take him out of the game. Nobody has and nobody will. You just try to hope you minimize the big plays.
Derek, is Montorie Hughes, how big a loss is that at this point? I know you talked about that maybe he hadn't always played up to expectations. So do you see it as a big loss? Or?
I do, because we're so thin and unproductive at defensive tackle. So anybody we lose there, it hurts the team. There's no question. But, you know, we have an academic accountability system that they understand and they know the consequences. And I tell them, you know, it's the same old line. Everybody can do what they want. Everybody's got freedom of choice, but nobody's got freedom of consequence. And at some point, you can't play.
Potential for him to be available for a possible bowl game?
Well, yeah, but not if we don't beat Kentucky.
Did we in the media maybe put too much on Montour Hughes in the preseason or anything with how talented he is and how much was expected of him, or what did you expect to get out of him this year? It's not really gone like.
I thought that there were some unreasonable and unfair expectations on Montour, like there are a lot of high school guys. And that's why I don't get caught up in the stars and there's so many things that go into playing to your capacity and playing and being a good player. And there was really no real history of Montour playing well. What was there? I mean, so
He had some big scrimmages in practices.
a couple of scrimmages, yeah. I think we beat Middle on him, right? Hubbs. But
Eric,
Yeah.
on Gerald Williams, was that by far the best game he's played, or have you
Yes.
seen?
I'm proud of Gerald too, because if y'all remember, we put Corey in ahead of Gerald a couple of games ago. And it's a great example. Here's a senior. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks ago, we start Corey Miller over. All right, well, it goes back to your attitude. What are you going to do about it? And some guys sulk and say, well, coaches don't like the old guys. I'm not saying on our team. I'm saying just hypothetically. Some guys, blame things. Well, here's Gerald, came out with even a better attitude, outplayed Corey in the game he got benched, got his job back, and then had his best game of his career. And that's what you love to see as a coach. And I wish every player could learn from that. Most of them don't. Most of them, it's human nature. They want to blame, point fingers.